microphone off. Somebody from our team will manage all the input that we will receive from you. Of course, you can have your video on. I hope that our connection will not break down. We have registration from more than 100 participants, but right now we are at 60 plus. So I think some more will join us. So yes, welcome to the first Zoom Mitgliedertreffen monthly member meeting of the AHK Romania. We are writing history today, and you write it. We all write it together. So it will be our first monthly member meetings in the electronic world. I hope that it will be as nice and interesting as the monthly meetings are in general and presence. What I would like to tell you before I hand over to Pavel and Ciprian, who are following us from UiPath, and we have also as host Johannes Becker from TPA. He will speak after me. Thanks to you three very much in joining this conference. I'm very curious what you have to tell us and what you will explain in the next 1 hour. I have some more information to the members who are right now online. First of all, I hope that everybody has received our, from now on, weekly newsletter where we give a lot of more information about the next events, the webinars that we are organizing, the results of the survey, and updates, of course, in our newsrooms on our homepage, where we inform you as best as possible about the situation of the current situation right now. So I would like to focus a little bit. So I hope that everyone gets this newsletter. When you don't receive it, please get back to us, because sometimes MailChimp and all these pictures and links might affect the IT system, might hinder actually that you receive our emails, but we need to find a solution for this. What have we done so far? Today there was a very nice webinar for 1.5 hours about the labor law. It was in German, about the current developments of labor law. Tomorrow we will have another webinar on the same issue. Today it was held by Stahlfort, and tomorrow it will be held by Anca Grigorescu in Romanian language. Also about the current updates about labor law. So when you have some question marks regarding chômage technique or any other forms of regarding labor law, please join the webinar which is taking place tomorrow. What we are also doing is to develop so-called, another format is so-called meetup. Meetup is a format, is a concept where in smaller groups, up to 50 people, but not more than this. It would be better if we have only 20 people or 30 people, but you want to build up also in smaller groups specific topics to handle, actually, to discuss with our members. So beside these monthly member meetings, besides the webinars where we try to give you information, we will also meet in the digital world in our new format, which is called Meetup. And yesterday we had the first Meetup with more than 50 participants. It was on the topic of dual professional education. So when you have topics where you think this could be of interest for a larger group, for 20, 30 people here in our member meeting, here in our member network, then please also get back to us so we can organize a meetup I do not know, in the field of transport or in the field of contract, supply chain issues, or in the automotive sector, or in any other topics that you will suggest to us. So we created the monthly member meetings. The next edition of the monthly member meeting will be on the 6th of May, on the first Wednesday, not on Tuesday, the first Wednesday in May, in the month May. We will continue to organize this webinar. We do not have a date until now, but in the next week we will have a webinar also on contractual law, because right now what we see a lot is that due to the crisis, due to the changes, companies are facing a lot of problems in terms of contractual law, and we want to give also some additional information in this topic. And as I said, we are planning to organize more meetups. So this is targeting to our members. We want to keep alive our community and get information and transport information to our members. Then, of course, for those who do not know about it, we invest a lot of time and energy to give you always updated information about the current situation in our newsroom. It's on our homepage, and you find also a lot of information regarding labor law, regarding crisis management, regarding the legislative changes, regarding the support of other members, regarding the CSR activities of our members. All this we channel to our homepage. And then, of course, out of this homepage, we are doing also campaigns in the social media. Like, for example, what we started already is to make more visible CSR activities of our members. We will share them, we will present them in the social medias and Facebook especially, so we can give you a little bit more visibility through our social medias when we are informed. So please also give us feedback, give us information regarding your CSR activity. We would like to promote them in our communication channels. And last but not least, from my side, we are also very strong, very active in the field of advocacy. Thank you all for replying the first 2 surveys that we have done so far for the Corona crisis. We need information from your side. How is the business running? How is Corona affecting your turnover? Where do you have problems? Are the measures implemented by the Romanian state in order to sustain the economy? Are they relevant for you? Do you apply for these measures? What do you use? So these surveys are for us, and we have done so far 2, which you can also find in our newsroom. These surveys are crucial for us to give the authorities, the public authorities, feedback from our community. And one very concrete output so far is that we have done a position paper on Kurzarbeit, which we brought in also in a wider format. We are working currently with other business organizations under the umbrella of Coaliția for the Development of Romania, in short version CDR. And our position papers was taken over by CDR, and now we have a good position paper to introduce actually Kurzarbeit here in Romania. This is a very success. This is a big success for us companies, for our business community, and just to tell you that this is also something that came out also of the surveys. So that's why we have intensified our work in this field to work on this position paper. And just briefly, why is this so important for us? Just one more minute. You know, everybody knows that we have currently the possibility to apply for chômage technique, which is paid, the 75% are paid right now in the period of the emergency status by the state. Once this emergency status is not anymore valid, then those people that you send to chômage technique, which are unemployed, which are not anymore active, productive in your company, those people you have to pay, the companies have to pay the 75%. So that's why we decided actually to do this position paper, to see what is, how Kurzarbeit is working in Germany in order to implement the Kurzarbeit instrument, the Kurzarbeit model also here in Romania. What is the model? What is the instrument of Kurzarbeit? It says that companies can decrease their staff capacity down to, let's make it easy, down to 30%, but it's also down to 60%, down to 50%. It is flexible, but companies can decrease the capacities of their staff down to a certain number. The difference of the salary, so that means the loss for the employee, let's say the companies is decreasing the capacity down to 40%. So the employee is facing a 60% income reduction. A big part of this income reduction is paid by the state. In Germany, for a maximum duration for 12 months. Right now we are discussing in Germany up to 24 months. But this would be a large support for the Romanian companies in order to handle the economic problems that we have right now here in Romania. And that's why for us, we have this model in Germany. It was important to transport this model also to Romania. This was only possible because we got the results, we got the feedback from you from the service, and that's why it is so important. So I hope in this first 10 minutes I gave you some ideas about what we are doing. We are there for our community with different formats. We would like to increase more topics. We are there in the field of advocacy, and we are there with the social media and on our homepage in order to inform. Please use this instrument, use this possibility, and give us also information, feedback regarding our activities. Thank you so far. Thanks once again to UiPath and to TPA, to Johannes and Ciprian and Pavel. And now I'm really looking forward to this very nice presentation. Thank you very much for joining us. Johannes, you can take over.
Yeah, I think Ciprian should start.
Yeah, so I will start basically. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you also, Sebastian and AHK, for giving us the opportunity to present today. Please also let me know once you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. So I think it would be better if we start, and then you're going to see that actually Johannes' presentation will follow. So it'd be second part from what I've presented so far. Today, what I would like to focus on is to give you some insights on how to accelerate the digital transformation. And my name is Ciprian Oțel. I'm a pre-sales technical consultant, been for now for more than 1 year with UiPath. And today, basically, I also prepared a small agenda just to talk a little bit about who is UiPath, who we are, what products we have, so what is basically RPA, which are the main benefits, see exactly which are common automation scenarios, where our automation can be used, and of course, then also a small demo session. So let's just briefly talk about UiPath. And it all started back in 2005 in a 3-bedroom apartment in Bucharest, Romania. And back then there was just a small team of almost 10 people, which were developing GUI automation libraries, which allowed to scrape the information from the application user interface. And the technology was called computer vision and was innovative. It was deployed on millions of computers by customers like IBM, Microsoft, or Siemens. And if we look far away in 2012, after we almost got bankrupt, we entered the RPA market. And after this, it was just a matter of time for our customers to realize that our technology was one of the best on the market and that it could solve many of their challenges. And I'm not saying this, but the numbers, which you also can see in the presentation, say this. So looking at the number of the customers, we increased year by year and grew up really, really fast. We received 4 series of funding, a total of 1 billion funding that we raised. We are now a global company with presence in more than 19 countries. We are working also with the local state government, and you are going to see later on how we basically work. So what use cases we have when it comes also to the pandemic, to this coronavirus pandemic. The question, what are we doing today? Well, today UiPath is more than an RPA vendor, and our technology helps companies to drive digital transformation, makes their business to become or to remain competitive on the market. And how can we achieve a digital transformation? Well, first step would be to adopt an automation first mindset. So the very first thing which comes into my mind is, what is automation first? Well, this mindset is let's say the change on how the companies should think of. They should look different at the problems and find innovative solutions, try to optimize processes, and of course, analyze the automation potential, and everything which can be automated should at some point be automated. So automation, or RPA, as I mentioned before, can accelerate the digital transformation. Now, I mentioned many times RPA. So what is actually RPA? Well, when people first hear RPA, or robotic process automation, they might imagine a shiny robot running around the office buildings, but in reality, it's a computer software that can automate repetitive, rule-based tasks typically performed by humans on their computers by utilizing the user interface, as we do. And they are just manipulating the data and applications just as a human would do. So imagine a piano playing by itself, right? The outcome is clear. We hear the music, but nobody is touching it. So same happens on our computers, on our machine. We see a robot which is working with all the applications, us without touching any mouse or keyboard. And the service which runs the automations on the computer is called a robot. Right? So I'm going to use the term robot from now on in the presentation. And the robots are doing basically the work that we hate. They get the robot out of us and put the finger back. They can move mouse, type for us, do the work faster with a high accuracy. They let us focus us on the most important task. So basically, I would say they become like our extension or our personal digital assistant. So what can those robots do? If you look here, we can see that they can do almost everything. they can be taught really fast to imitate what we do. They can log into applications, we give them the credentials, and they log in there. They can move files, create new folders, connect to databases, read, write from those databases, connect to the web browser, and then start scraping that data. And think about cases where you need to find the best provider. So you need to compare some prices. There you have a robot opening the browser, connecting to different vendors, and scraping all that data for different products, and then just picking up the best price for us, or the product which is going to be delivered in the next 24 hours. And further on, they can connect and open the emails, read the attachments, and extract the content from those documents. They can be PDFs, they can be invoices, and so on. But is this actually all? Well, not everything which you see here is the full capability of the robots. Our robots can also have superpowers, let's say. If we combine them with the right technologies, we can achieve things that a couple of years ago were not possible, things that we could not even imagine, I would say. And the robots become smarter and smarter by using AI technologies, machine learning, natural language processing, and so on. So what's happening, putting those superpowers, we then can structure all that information, all that data, so that the robots then can process it. They now have a visual understanding. They can look at also screenshots of applications and recognize all the elements, all the buttons, text fields, and so on. They can understand documents, so have document understanding, have conversational understanding. Think about chatbots or natural language processing technologies. So they can go through emails and extract the content from there. And then based on that, take some decisions. Now, we've heard what the robots can do. Now let's think about which are the main advantages of using RPA. And there are many benefits when it comes to RPA. And here you can see just some of them. First of all, I would say, as before, we talk about the high accuracy, because robots will never make mistakes. They will always do what they are supposed to. So we are humans and sometimes make mistakes, and this is normal. And I don't know how many of you think about the impact of those mistakes over the data, because sometimes the data we generate, think about the fact we have garbage in, it will be a garbage out. So the impact would be on the whole process or future processes, that it will cost maybe time to repair this, or it will cost, of course, also money. So having a high accuracy, then we are sure also that our customers are happy, but also that the data is consistent and correct, so it's accurate. Then let's think about ROI, or return on investment. And many of our customers are looking for a fast ROI. And I think RPA is a perfect fit for this. Imagine that some RPA projects need just a few weeks or a few months to be developed, of course, depending on the process complexity. And now ask yourself, if you need to have an integration between different systems and you don't want to choose RPA, maybe that process or that project would last much longer. We could talk about the development of, I say, 1 year or even more, and the outcome is not sure. So we don't know exactly if after that 1 year or 2 years, the outcome is going to be the one which we intended in the beginning. Or sometimes we don't know what's happening with the business in the next year or next 2 years. So it might become not a priority anymore. And if we think about RPA, the higher the volumes are, then the stronger the business case is, because we have more and more savings, right? Basically, the more we have to give the robots, then the more we get out of that. And we can think also about cost saving. Think about new processes, and now with the pandemics, it's possible that we need to adapt to change the business model, maybe to define new processes, and sometimes we just need to form a big team of people which is going to be in charge of a specific process. Why not using some RPA and automating some of the processes where we have the manual repetitive work, and just place the humans there where somebody needs to think and to act, to take some decisions based on the data which the robots are preparing. And this way, we also make sure that we keep the people motivated, because with the manual repetitive work, they sometimes get bored, and people usually also leave their job really frequent because of that. So we just need to keep them to be there engaged. Also, by using the robots, we reduce the overtime and so on. Then if we look at productivity, robots work faster than humans. On average, I think 2 or 3 times at least, the robot works faster. But sometimes they are super fast. For instance, if we process Excel files, and I think everyone at some point used an Excel file for something, a report, some calculations, think about the robots processing the Excel up to 80 times faster, and they don't even need to open the Excel file. So we talk about productivity. Then robots work 24/7. They never have a coffee break, a cigarette break, they never get ill. So they can execute as many processes or transactions as time allows them in 24 hours. And if you have high peaks and a specific SLA, then don't worry, because you can easily bring in more robots. So you can easily deploy more and more robots. And we have right now cases in retail, especially, where people need a lot of effort, and they do a lot of overtime because they have a lot of payments and orders to process. And our customers just deployed quickly in 1 or 2 weeks some robots there, automated the process, and then there you go, right? No delays, high accuracy, and the customers are happy, and the company is also happy that their SLA level is as before. And now, just to see some numbers, now from Forrester, for instance, this is an impact on the employee engagement. What happens if we put humans to work together with robots, right? First of all, and I've checked some of the numbers, okay, some of them could be lower, but they are pretty accurate. So we talk about the 90% faster efficiency. When we work much better, we don't make some mistakes, and we are more efficient, right? Instead of working 10 hours, including overtime, using robots just pick the data for us, and we just are in control of analyzing that data and just taking some decisions based on that. So we save a lot of time. And then in the end, we can service better our customers, because think about using a robot in a call center. We, as an agent, have 10 applications which we need to control. And we need to go through each application, look for the customer information, and it will take some time. If we use a robot will do this really fast. And in the meantime, when the robot picks up the information, we just talk with the customer, right? We engage with the customer, and the customer is satisfied. And we, in the meantime, can also, I don't know, do an upsell, talk about a new product which we can offer to the customer. So it's up to your imagination. Then the employees are the most important. Yeah, we need to keep them engaged, keep them happy, and it's about 80% higher employee engagement. And in the end, it's all about the brand, right? The company. And if you give quality services, employees are happy, then in the end, you can also boost your brand. Now, you would ask yourself, who uses RPA? Well, this is just an overview of our customers from different industry verticals. So you might see here that we are not working with just one industry. The most common one and the most successful one in the beginning was the BFSI industry, but then telco and retail and so on, where we have high volumes and a lot of manual repetitive tasks, which are rule-based, that have a huge automation potential. So customers from everywhere. And if you look on the lower hand side, you see also the public sector, federal agencies. And on our website, you are going to see some use cases, success stories, or white papers exactly with what has been automated in the public sector. So we are talking about digital transformation. And now, if we pick any of those industries, then we can zoom in, let's say, and see which are the common processes which could be then eventually also automated. And we can start with HR from simple payroll, right? The payroll is a process which usually is being outsourced. Now with RPA, we can bring the process back, and the robots can then do the payroll for us. And so on. If we move to supply chain, we see, okay, the supply and demand planning, right, work order management, and so on. So a lot of common processes which everyone has and which should be actually automated. Then moving on to IT services, think about the password reset activity, right? This is something which is annoying. Okay, it doesn't take too much time. It would take a couple of minutes, I would say, 2-3 minutes. But why should someone do this when we can have a robot, right? We shouldn't have someone doing this 24/7 to reset the password. Someone should just send an email to a robot picks up, validates the information, resets the password, and that's it, right? Because the robot will have access as the human to all the systems we want him to. So he will just connect basically the human with all those systems. And same could happen today in case of the pandemics, because everything went virtual, right? A lot of businesses maybe were not 100% prepared. IT needs to do a lot of migration, also to cloud, manage the access of the employees and so on. So if there are many employees, we talk about huge amount of workload, so a huge backlog. Putting RPA, using RPA there will help them in such a crisis because we can then go to production in a few weeks, or sometimes we can also talk about a week if we have a really simple automation scenario. And I mentioned the pandemic, and I'm just giving you some examples. So all around the globe, we work together with government, healthcare, and what we are doing, we are providing free professional services, consulting. We are providing some free licenses. And what we did basically in Ireland, and this can also be seen on our webpage, we also helping the customers or the healthcare system for the COVID-19 testing, for the lab testing, reporting, scheduling the patients to a specific test center, and rescheduling them if we have customers which have a critical situation, right? They also have other complications, and then we are rebooking the customers which have don't have symptoms but need to be tested, and placing with a high priority the ones which need to be tested. Again, and Sebastian talked earlier about the recruitment and the unemployment, actually, right? Unemployment, there are a lot of requests coming in also in Romania, and we want to support and use our robots also for this scenario. Or in the hospital, onboarding of the patients, again, right? There are a lot of documents which need to be filled in to be signed, GDPR documents. In the medical system, we need to do the onboarding of the patient, and a lot of tasks like this. And we can use a robot. We just scan the ID of the patient, and then the robot picks up all the information and does the work for the medical nurses, let's say. And this admin task takes a lot of time. With the robot, we save a lot of time. So that time can be then focused and on other more important aspects, such as, you know, saving the people's life. And before I close, I talked a lot about RPA, digital transformation. I would just like to show you a simple demo. And the demo is pretty simple. So we have a use case where we need to do a customer onboarding. And every day in the morning, we go at work and we get on the email an Excel file, and that Excel file contains a a list of customers, which we need to copy paste into this web platform. And now imagine that every time we hit the submit button, all the fields from here are gonna change. So we need every time to look and see where the first name, last name field is, and so on. So this is a manual, repetitive, and annoying task, which will take maybe 1 hour, 2 hours per day. And why shouldn't we automate it? Well, we should, and you're gonna see how fast a robot is going to perform this activity. So he's going to look through each row from the Excel file, and then he's going basically just to input the information. Okay, now let me place it here. And now the robot, what I started is a attended bot. We have two types of robots: unattended, which work 24/7 on a server by their own. So we get new emails, they already know what to do. They just download all the invoices from that email, for instance, read the information and input it into SAP or other system. And this is an attended scenario where I just call the robot when I need him. So I need to trigger him to start him. And I'm gonna use superhuman so that you see how fast the robot actually will go through each customer for onboarding. And pay attention, it will take just a couple of seconds. So I'm starting the robot. Now, it's also dependent on the internet speed and also, let's say, on the performance of the computer. But basically, and I got better results than 6.5 seconds. So I also had cases where it was 3 seconds. In other words, thank you all, and hope you enjoyed the presentation. Now, if you would have some questions, would like to get in touch with us, you can reach out to my colleague, Julian. So he's the sales guy. I'm just the engineer, so this is not my part. I'm just with the talking. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. I forgot to mention, of course, you can also ask questions and raise your hand. So use the chat function. If you are not familiar with this, it's a little bit down in your menu, and you can place, yeah, like Juana is doing. Also, you can make some comments with your fingers up or something like this, like Viorel is doing. Exactly. So we can see it. Yeah, exactly. And so far, so you know how it works. Okay, fine enough. Johannes, it's your turn.
Okay, thank you very much, Sebastian. Thank you very much also, Ciprian, for the introduction in RPA and in UiPath. I'm going to talk a little bit more about, let's say, the practical part of it, because we have, let's say, started our own RPA and automating journey some time ago. And I've prepared a little presentation. Let's just see if this also works, hopefully. Okay, so it should be on the screen. Maybe to start telling you a little bit how we actually started to think about doing IT work or to digitalize ourselves, because basically RPA, TPA is a company with a history of accounting, of tax consultancy, of audit. We have a small legal department, etc. But basically, let's say in the last 3 years, it became more and more clear that a lot of what we're doing is actually going to be digitalized or automated over the coming years. And so about 3 years ago, we said we also have to develop in this direction. And it took us quite a while to figure out in what kind of services you actually should invest and what kind of developments or new service lines you could start. But it became, after some discussions, it became quite clear to us that we have basically two possibilities. Either we will be automated by others, or we start to learn to automate, how to automate our own processes and to do it ourselves, and later on maybe also to give this service further on to our clients. And this is what we actually did. We didn't start with UiPath from the very beginning, but we started with another software for RPA, that was very convenient at the beginning because it was relatively easy to learn. So I, as a non-IT person, I learned it within a few weeks. And we were very happily making some small projects and automations. And we were happy as long as these automations were very small. Because in the moment when they came into a little bit more complex processes and more complex projects, we very quickly saw how limited this other software was. And we said, okay, no, stop it, let's scrap it, let's be looking for something really good. And luckily for us, UiPath is in Bucharest, so they're just more or less around the corner for us. And we got in contact with them, and very quickly we became partner of UiPath. And we started to learn with our team from consultants for EU funds, basically. This is the history of the people who are now working on RPA, to program and to understand the idea of UiPath and to learn how to program it. And this is what we're doing now. TPA already said a lot of things when it is useful and what it can be used for. I think maybe the key point is it shifts really activities of your employees from very simple repetitive work, from preparing reports, for instance, towards interpreting the reports. Just look, a very typical use case for the start is an HR department, especially in Romania, where everything is so complicated and so bureaucratic. People working in our HR departments, they spend a lot of time just filling in forms. And actually, this is not their job. The job of the people in the HR department is to take care of the other employees and not to fill in forms. And automation and RPA can actually help them to free themselves from these tedious, boring, frustrating jobs that they have to do in processes and to focus on what their actual real job is. I have here a few examples, but I think many of them have been mentioned already by Ciprian before, what it can be used for. So the classical, of course, you use it for processes that you already have. But I would not limit it to this. In our discussions with clients, we have seen that many have actually nice to have processes that they would like to make, but they cannot make it because it's simply too much work and nobody really has time to do it. A classical example for it is reporting. I think every company has very interesting data that is in all kinds of databases, maybe also from the internet, on different servers, in different Excel files, in other applications, in SAP, in Oracle, wherever. And they're there, but you cannot combine them. And if you could combine them, you could maybe figure out some interesting news about your company, but it's simply too much work to do it. This is why either nobody's ever doing it, or it's maybe happening once a month, and then all the data is already a month old, and it's not that interesting anymore. With RPA, you can do this every 10 minutes if you want. So you can really have really, really good information that you can work with and you can interpret them with without losing any time for preparing the information. You just spend the time then for interpreting it. Classical advantages, of course, is the data quality is increasing. You will be a lot faster with your services, especially if you're using it in connection with your clients. Your clients will receive feedback from you a lot faster than it would be done manually. This means that productivity increases, the customer experience is increasing. And one thing that came up basically with GDPR, the robot does not understand the data that it is working with. So if you have some sensitive data about persons in a hospital, for instance, or some financial data of a client, then as long as the robot is working with it, there is absolutely no contact between these data and your employees, which means that there's actually no risk from the GDPR point of view, which is also something that should not be forgotten. And it reduces the human error because once the robot is working, it is always working. It's not making mistakes. And it is also helping some companies, and I will come to an example in a few moments, also to avoid fraud, because of course this is happening. You can, if you automate some processes, you can completely get rid of any human influence regarding the data and the processes. And simply, it can reduce also your costs. Just to make it a little bit more clear, I want to go with you together now through a case that we are working for at the moment at a client. I will not name the client and so on, so it's not Scania, it's just an image here. It's actually a Romanian carrier, so a forwarder who has trucks. And they have now a process that they have been doing for years already manually. So each of the trucks has a GPS system that provides them with some data regarding the fuel consumption of the truck, but also regarding the behavior of the drivers. So it shows you exactly how much time he spent with cruise control, how hard he hit the accelerator, how hard he was forcing the engine, and the average consumption of the truck during all these situations. And they're making these reports on one hand to compare the GPS data regarding consumption of the truck with the data they have in the accounting from the invoices that the truck driver brought. Because you know, sometimes it happens that maybe a truck driver gives a helping hand to somebody who is filling his tank next to his truck and pays his invoice as well and invoices it to the company. And to avoid this kind of situations, they're making these checks. But also, the other side of the process is analyzing the driver's behavior and then discussing with them. Because they have the data of all the truck drivers, and all the trucks in this company are very similar. And they see that they have differences in similar situations between drivers of 1 liter, 1.5 liters of consumption of fuel. And if you have a larger fleet of trucks, this means a lot of money. So this is a process that is now being done manually. This means that somebody who is copying, pasting, typing in information to end this process. It's a process that takes about 230 individual steps. So in this company, it's like this. They have approximately 200 trucks. They have approximately 200 drivers. So they have about 1 driver per truck. They have a few more actually. But there's only one person, one young lady who is preparing these reports. Yeah, and I would say, just to make it a little bit easier to understand, let's call her Christina. And poor Christina has to prepare these 200 reports every month for each of the trucks and each of the drivers. And she needs for these 230 steps about 15 minutes on average. And if you calculate it, this is 50 hours per month that she's working for these processes and for these reports. That's more than a quarter of her monthly working time. So this is really a lot. Yeah? As a result, Christina is not very happy because she would very much like to spend more time to discuss with the drivers about the behavior and not just to use so much time to prepare these reports. Also, the truck drivers are not happy with the situation because if they use less fuel, then they receive a bonus from a company. Since Christina has not too much time to discuss with them because she spends so much time for preparing the reports, this means that their performance is not improving as well as it could be. And of course, Christina's boss is also unhappy because he has to pay for all this. He has to pay for the fuel and he has to pay for the work of Christina for preparing these reports. So this is the situation that we found. This is where we came in. And the first thing that we did was to analyze the process. And this is actually what you see here. This is the real result of our process analysis. The process is relatively well standardized, so we did not have to intervene in the standardization of the process itself. And for getting to this result, we actually used a software from UiPath that is kind of recording all the 230 steps that Christina makes on the computer. And then we take this little 230 steps and form out of this very concentrated scheme of the process itself. So each of these square boxes that you see here actually has in the back between 10, 20, or even 50 different steps. Yeah? Then this is the thing that we were discussing then with Christina. And she was telling us, yes, this is okay. This is exactly how our process is looking like. And then we did our magic with programming it. And what is the result? The result is that instead of 15 minutes, it takes now only 1.5 minutes for Christina to finalize this process. And this is still relatively long, as you've heard from Cipriano and you have seen before at the little demonstrations, can be a lot faster. Yeah? This is still 10 times as fast as a human being. It is not faster than that because we have to change between many applications that have to be opened and closed and so on. And we always have to leave a little bit more time for the application to open so that the whole thing is not getting stuck somewhere during the process. But still, she's saving a lot of time. So as a result, also the drivers are happier because Christina has more time to talk to the drivers, and the boss is also happy because he spends less money on fuel and he sees that Christina is more relaxed. We were also calculating the savings of this process. So on one hand, of course, you have for 12 months, 45 hours every month that Christina is not working for preparing these reports, which is all over the year, means she saved 550 hours of work. Now the question is, does this actually have a financial impact? No, it does not, of course. Yeah, because Christina is still there. Christina is still working there. She still gets a salary. This is also maybe one of the mistakes that we see in our discussions with clients, that they just value the value of the automation by comparing the cost of the automation with the savings of working time of their employees. This can be an effect, but it's not necessarily in all cases an effect. So in this case, basically, it's not really an effect. But a big effect can be the reduction of food consumption. Because if out of this analysis of the reports and out of the discussions with the drivers results a lower fuel consumption, we have calculated that for each 0.0 liters of 100 kilometers that the drivers over the year use less fuel, the savings per year are in the area of 24,000 euro per year. And if you remember in the beginning, I said the difference between drivers are somewhere in the area of 1 to 1.5 liters. So this is a huge amount of money that you can actually save. But we should also not forget the non-financial savings or benefits. So of course it is easier for Christina to work like this because she doesn't like this process anyway. Actually, it was also her in the company who motivated the boss to come to us and to talk with us about the automation. Because now she will have less stress, she will have less pressure, and she will be less bored by what she's doing. As I mentioned before, also RPA is not making mistakes. So in the past, they themselves estimated that about 10 to 50% of the reports had a little mistake somewhere. Sometimes they didn't find the mistake because it was very small and it remained there. Sometimes it was quite evident, but being a relatively long process with 230 steps, they did not try to find the process, but they preferred to simply do it all over again, which means they lost another 15 minutes. And of course, in the end, everybody's happier. Yeah, so we have seen this in many companies that there is some skepticism in the beginning, also from the employees regarding RPA and automation. There's some fear sometimes that they may lose their job, which usually is not really happening. But once they see how it works and once they see how much it actually helps them in the day-to-day work, then they really become very enthusiastic and come with additional ideas what else could be automated. We have a little, let's say, a little, I don't know if I could call it an ethical framework or a Bible or something of how we are approaching clients with automating. So very important is to choose the right processes. We do not want to automate any process just because our client says this process can be automated. Yeah, we really want to focus on the processes that really make sense to be automated. We've seen this also internally with us in TPA, where we have quite a large number of processes automated already. Sometimes employees have something that they don't like very much, and we look at it, we see it is not structured, it requires some decision-making by themselves, so it cannot be automated to 100%. It would be a huge effort to automate it, it's simply not worthwhile. And then we say, no, this is not the right process. And then we try to look for another process that maybe helps them more than the one that they have chosen. Our advantage is we're not just IT experts, just like this, but we are basically business consultants, which means that we see and understand process maybe a little bit differently. Yeah? So we can also help you a little bit to interpret the effects of processes. We can structure the process differently. Maybe we find sometimes processes that are actually useless for the company and we can do something else instead. We generally also prefer to spend more time to analyze the process and to structure the process so that then we will need less time to automate it, which means also that for the client it is a lot cheaper because you can automate basically any crappy process, but even if it's automated, it still is a crappy process. It's not getting any better, it's just automated. Yeah, this has to be avoided. We also check that we do not start with the most complex processes. It is also a danger very often that companies have a huge, very complex end-to-end process and they want the whole thing automated from the very beginning. That's not always the best idea because this takes a lot of time and it can be frustrating also for the client to wait and to see how much work and effort we put actually in and also his employees have to put in to explain the process to us. It's better if at a complex process to identify at the beginning a few bits and pieces of the process that are, let's say, most prone to be automated, and to start with these. And only over time to combine them and to fill in some missing parts. And in the end, we will have an automated end-to-end process, but not to set the stakes too high from the very beginning. We also try to keep the costs of our clients as low as possible. Yeah, this is why, I mean, basically we can automate processes anywhere in Europe. Yeah, we do not have to go to the client. We can do anything online. It is not relevant whether our client is in Timișoara, whether he's in Düsseldorf, or whether he's somewhere in Madrid. It is totally irrelevant because we can do everything online. We see on the screen what he's doing. We can record all these activities, the entire process. So, of course, in Romania, for us as TPA is, let's say, the logical country where we automate the processes for our clients, because we at the moment we're doing it still for Romania, but the next step will be to offer these services to our clients in all the 12 countries where TPA is active. But we will always program it from Romania to keep the costs as low as possible. And of course, once the robot is up and running and it's functional, clearly it always happens in an organization that the IT infrastructure is changing, that some processes are changing, some software is changing. This means it needs to be adapted, and we are always helping them, our clients, to adapt their processes and to maintain everything working well. And this is usually not a very big work. So once the process exists and the core part of the process is functioning, when something in the beginning, because the input documents are changing, or the end because the format of the report is changing, and something like this is to be changed, it's not major work. It's relatively simple and quickly to be done. There's a very nice say that I stole from one of the presentations of UiPath. So it says, if you hate it, automate it. Yeah? Just to try to get rid of everything that you can get rid of and free your people from these tedious and boring tasks and help them to work according to the competencies. Because just if I'm looking at our accounting department, we have really a lot of young people who are not doing anything else to type some figures into the accounting software the whole day. I mean, these people, all of them have finished university, yeah, and we use them kind of a human interface between a piece of paper and the computer software. That's really a waste of time. And this is also the area where we have the highest fluctuation of personnel at TPA. Yeah, because our people are unhappy because we cannot use them for something that reflects their abilities. And with automating processes, we can see that people actually stay longer and are simply more satisfied and are much more motivated to work with us. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Johannes. Thank you, Cyprian. Do we have any clapping hands? A lot, yeah, exactly. This is how we do in the online world. Do we have any questions? I saw some comments that you can also find on YouTube, some tutorials. This is the name, or on the homepage of UiPath. Do we have any questions? How can I see this?
If you have any questions, please raise your hand or just comment.
Or put on the micro. Everything clear? Cyprian Satomara.
You are...
Okay, hello. So I would like to congratulate you for breaking the ice with the online meetings, and not that now in the coronavirus times it's necessary, but I think this is a very good path that we should follow in the future sometimes, not always, because I can tell you, really, I'm really waiting to meet each of you in person. It's much better. But this also is a very important path for everybody, and helps us to be connected and to be positive in these times, because it's difficult. Sebastian, I would like also to congratulate you, because I know that together with other chambers of commerce, you had a position, a public position, and you sent the point of view to the government. I can tell you to all, it's not a secret because some of you do know me personally and you know that I'm also a member in the governing party. Today I had a meeting with the business leaders represent and are also members in the party. And I want to tell you that we, from the business side, want to push our colleagues in the government to prepare decisions not only for those who are in problem now, but also to those companies who continue to work, because the economy will be held in the next month and the economy will be developed in the future by those who are working. And I hope that in the AHK Romania, we will have the chance to discuss together and through Sebastian to propose to the government this kind of measures that can help the companies who didn't stop the activity during these times, but continued to risk and to work, because it's a really difficult business environment now.
Thank you, Cyprian. Yes, whatever you have also as remarks regarding the current legislative framework, please send us also these type of remarks. But coming back to RPA, thank you, Cyprian, for your comment, but coming back to the automation, is anybody here in this group using already systems like this in their company? Can anybody make a remark on this? I do not see anything.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, Joanna.
It's my first time when I'm present to this kind of meetings, and it's very nice to meeting you. We at Bechetal, Romania, we are also promoting some platforms for digitalization of the companies. And let's say it's the same language I heard about from Cyprian and Johannes. We are also looking to the RPA because we think it's already confirmed into the Romanian market, let's say. But we are not having right now any cases on RPA, only on DocWare solution for document digitalization and job router. I don't know if you heard about this kind of solutions.
Yes, I heard it's an automation of reading documents and put them on the system, and yeah, as well, very important.
Okay. We have here Mr. Valeriu Luca. I think he's from JFK.
JFK Romania, yes. Hello, it's the first time when I am in this meeting, so nice to meet all of you. I was several times invited, but I am working in Pipera, and usually the meetings are in Grivița, so to spend around 1 hour or 2 hours in traffic, I avoid to waste time in this way. So now it's a very good opportunity to meet each other. To tell you about me, I am leading also a center of excellence in Bucharest, where we are collecting and preparing almost everything for consumer panel and for other kind of projects from all countries. So basically we are create different scripts dealing with a lot of data daily from different countries, from Germany and so on. And during the time we create our own scripts, to say like that, for automation. Instead to hire people, we create different automatically process. We develop our own tool long time ago. 3 years ago, I discovered UiPath. At that time, I was very, let's say, enthusiastic about this tool, because during the time I tried different solutions myself, also my team, also from IBM or from other big players in this industry. I tried to push a bit to implement UiPath at that time, but because it wasn't known, was the global decision to use other RPA at that moment. Maybe in the future, I will change that because, to be honest, I'm a really big fan. I try to play myself with this tool. I discovered it's very easy to use. So I don't make any publicity now. So just I am telling my opinion. Don't consider it's GFK opinion. And as I wrote in the chat room, one way how I can measure what is the impact of a instrument or how good it's to use by others is the effect on people from India starting creating tutorials. And for me, this was a good sign. It's a very, very good tool. And right now I'm still trying to create some demo to show to the board. Maybe in time we can change the decision. But what I can say, the big advantage is not the fact using, as you said, presented, the APA is to use or to replace people, because this the advantage. The biggest advantage is you deliver earlier and a better quality. And during this time, also with this COVID situation, our clients ask data faster and a higher quality. And also, if it's some automatically process, it's appear a mistake, you can resolve very easy because it's not something can appear random. It's based on a process. So that is another advantage. So, and actually now what I am doing with 5 people in the past, I can say 10 years ago, was done with maybe 100 people to have an overview, how can improve this automation. If you have a tool or you have programmers that develop something internal. That is all that I can tell you about experience. And I want to finish with what I am saying to my people. Be a lazy person. That means if the computer can do it for you, let computer to do it.
That's also good wording, like the one from Johannes. What you hate, when you hate it, automate it. Yeah. What I can say, you are totally right. From our side, we are experimenting as well with such kind of tools like Zoom and Teams. We will continue to that you have access once we are in the after Corona period. We will continue to give you access to our monthly member meetings, also through an electronical version, so that Satumar or you from Pipera can have access to our information, to our monthly meetings, whenever you like it. It's not mandatory. Yeah, any more?
We have a raised hand. Your notes.
Okay, your notes, please tell
Hello.
us.
Hello, everybody. First of all, nice to meet you online. I'm sorry I don't have the camera working in this moment for you to see me. I am stuck in United States in this moment because of this coronavirus in our subsidiary here. So I have to stay here more. And we experienced home working and this kind of tools in the last 1 year. In our company, FEPRA, we are managing packaging waste and the extended producer responsibility for our clients. And we started in the last 1 year some tools for e-working, let's call it. We have a UiPath small robot, which are moving some data for our invoicing system in the last 1.5 years, and we are very happy with the UiPath robot here. And also we discovered a lot of other tools that you have in this moment, like CRM. We are using, for example, HubSpot. In this moment for communication, we are using all the Microsoft components like Teams and for communicating, and also Zoom for our online conferences. And we try to offer to all of our clients and all of our waste company collectors a digital platform. And I have it is important for me to say to you that until this coronavirus pandemic situation, some of even our colleagues, even our partners was very reluctant to use digital tools. It was a huge, let's say, barrier into implementation this kind of tools, especially because some of our employees and our clients were afraid about the automatization. Maybe they will lose the jobs. And now with this coronavirus and our mandatory work from home, it's very, very easy for everybody to understand, oh my God, this is a huge benefit that we are using this one. Now I like it. So I think we should, all of us, take in consideration also, I don't know how to say it, let's see the benefits of our home staying, and let's see how we can increase our e-communication and how we can ask people to work more using the digital tools. And I'm sure that we will see also in time the benefits. Me personally, I see this situation with homework not only for 1, 2, 3 months from now, but I think it will last more. So I see also that we can use some other tools into this. Thank you.
Thank you, Yunus. All the best to the United States, and hopefully you will have a safe travel back to Romania. But
when I will have a flight, yeah, I will try to get back to see how to see there. But now we are stuck here, and but it's good. We stay inside, safe.
The most important thing is that you stay healthy. So
yeah, thank you.
With a view on the timing, I think
I would just actually ask a question for the colleagues from UiPath, because in the preparing meeting, I asked for examples of concrete projects that you had, and especially for this period. Can you give us you mentioned 2 examples that you are actually doing pro bono for also in Romania. Can you please also, not telling names, but just telling what you actually are doing now?
Hi guys, this is Julian. I will pick this up. What we are doing now for the business sector, obviously everybody has increased volumes, especially on everything that it's online. So we see a huge growth on this part, and we are helping everybody. Also, besides the business, the public sector has a huge problem right now with huge backlogs. We are talking about unemployment. Imagine that they need to process everybody that it's going into the technical unemployment part in a matter of days. So what we are doing right now, we are actually helping them indeed pro bono to process all the requests they are receiving from all over the country in order to finish everything. Imagine that they have a deadline for April 15 to have everything processed, and more important, to give all the Romanians their money that they need in this period. So what we are doing right now is exactly this part. We are helping some national agency to do this. This is work in progress. We will actually have another call today at 6 o'clock to see exactly the status and how much of that volume we can process using our robots. This is one part. On the other hand, we have some calls with different hospitals. What we are doing right now, it's onboarding their patients directly from the triage area, meaning that we are trying to limit as much as possible the contact that nurses and doctors mainly, to limit the contact with the infected patients, because we have a huge problem and we need to avoid new medical people getting ill, and also to have a structure and more efficient way to onboard those patients. So this is already in production for one hospital here in Bucharest where we had the pilot, and we are trying to ramp up this to all hospitals that are using similar applications for them to have an easier life. So the next part here, we are also involved with 2 of our partners. During the call that Anka mentioned, we were talking with Johannes because we are beginning to have a backlog ourselves. We will involve some partners to do some pro bono development on specific process that they have because of COVID-19. More than this, the licenses will be offered for free until September. Let's hope that's enough, and it will not take longer than this. Not about because of money, but because of us mainly. And whatever we can do, I'm not giving names, information. It's not public. This is pure pro bono work that we are doing in order to help the agency that needs it the most. This is kind of it.
Yeah, if I may just jump in, we have also started a little program. This means that companies who have now to fill in, let's say, a lot of forms for their employees or something like this, we are able and are willing to, if you send us, let's say, the list of employees for you, you have to fill in the forms, and the form that has to be filled in, we fill in these forms for you. Yeah, so you just send us the Excel file, you send us the form that needs to be filled in, and we do this also free of charge. It's just a little program that we can do, and it doesn't even take very long. So sometimes we could solve it within an hour. We could send to our clients back the completed forms.
And also, I have one more thing here. Imagine that we already have robots working in Revisal, because that's also high volumes that everybody has right now. And we can automate also some tasks into Revisal. And especially if you are sending people into technical unemployment, you need to update Revisal for everyone.
Yes. Great. Thank you very much. I think 5:20. Normally we used to have a cocktail. I think this time you can have a cocktail with your family. It's also nice. These are the advantages. Thank you very much for your participation today. It was a great pleasure. I see that our community is alive. That's for me the biggest and greatest news today. Thank you very much for joining here. Stay at home, stay healthy, stay joyful, and think positive. Thank you, all the best, and wherever you are, goodbye and have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.